Or in other words, some could be precipitates or solids once they react. So if the reaction occurs and one of these is solid, you'll see it in your solution, right? And you guys saw that in one of your labs. You react two things together and they'll make something that precipitates. And where you get those solubility rules would be from this lecture here. Simple rules for solubility. So this is from the November 12th lecture PowerPoint. Should be in your the L drive or in the emails, and I'll double check that for sure after this video. But now let's get back to it. So basically we would look, if you're doing any reaction, basically you would look at these solubility rules. So let me, oh, there we go, that works. How did I do that? So this is good enough. We see that the reactants, one possibility could be MgCl2. So we look here. So Mg is a group 2A. Group 2A atom. But there's no rule describing what happens when you look at Mg. But if you look here, you have a rule for Cl's. So most Cl minus salts are soluble, except for these three exceptions. But when we look at MgCl2, we're saying that this isn't an exception, is not an exception. So this is aqueous. Or in solution, you're going to have this floating around. Now if we look at Na2S, Na2 is, Na is an alkali metal, remember, or a group 1A, so the very first column of a periodic table, and S. So most L's are soluble, and most S salts are only slightly soluble except for those containing cations in Rule 2. So in Rule 2 is where we have those. This one, so this actually turns out to be soluble as well. So in this reaction, basically what happens is you have the same thing you have in the reactants and in the products. So in this case is a no reaction, because both of these dissolve in water. You're doing this reaction in water. Both of these dissolve in water. So really what you have is the same ions floating around in here as you do in here. So no reaction if both products are soluble. So that's just kind of by chance. Like I just kind of picked those salts, those ions, just because. But same thing happens here. I went through this already in class, but we'll go through it again. So this one, the formula equation is this: ClCl2. Say I ask you for what would happen if you combine these two things. Say you didn't know the products here, COOH. What you would do is remember the cation goes with the anion here. The cation goes with the anion there. So CO would go with OH and Na would go with Cl. And then from this point you would have to look at the charges. So we go back to here and we see that